Well, hey guys. We just saw Infinity War. It was a lot. It was a lot, and it was very good. It was very good. Let's just say that first and foremost. By the way, I'm jumping too fast. I'm Stephen. This is Eric. Eric and I went to the same college, and he and I have been kind of what would you call us? Marvel. We discuss all Marvel things.
We're fanboys.
We're fanboys. We're fanboys.
What it is.
Every single Marvel movie, I've talked to Eric almost immediately after. We talk about what we thought, good things, bad things, and we sat next to each other in the movie. We had a big group going with us. And oh boy, there's a lot to be said about this movie. But while we talk about it, we're going to play some Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Have you played this game before?
I've never actually seen this game.
Really?
Ever.
This is like... It's a 4-person drop-in, drop-out co-op beat-em-up game where you play as Marvel characters. It's a classic. The first one's better, but I did not have it installed in time. So we're going to play two. Two plays better, but one's got a better selection of heroes.
Okay.
So we're just going to do a new game.
Is Black Bolt a member?
That's funny. No, he's not. He's never. Eric really likes Black Bolt. If you ever if you want to say anything in the chat, ask him what he thought of the Inhumans TV show.
We agreed not to talk about that, Stephen.
It's still fun. So, while this is going, so general thoughts of Infinity War. We're gonna talk no spoilers here for a minute. Just generally what we thought of the movie. So, first things first. Quick thing, easy yes and no, yes or no answer. But there's more to be said about it if we so choose. How was the action in this movie?
Gripping. 10 out of 10. Visually stunning. Excellently thought out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I said, I think on a podcast that we've done here before, weeks ago, that this whole movie looks like a third act. And that's kind of how it felt. All the action was insanely epic. It was really cool. Every character did something. Yeah. Like that. I was surprised at that. Like, and this isn't really a spoiler. Wong did things.
I wasn't expecting
him to do anything at all.
More than plotting.
Yeah, but he actually contributed. And
right.
And I can't think of a single character in the entire movie that didn't have their moment, but it didn't really feel like well, that's their moment.
It didn't feel forced.
Right.
Which I was really afraid that with a cast this large and this iconic,
right.
With all these stars that have been so big in their own right, that it would kind of feel cheesy and forced, letting every character do their thing. But it felt surprisingly fluid. I wasn't expecting that.
Like, my first impression after seeing that movie was, like, honestly, it was 10 out of 10. There you go. Okay, you're in the game.
Am I playing?
You are playing.
Oh! So where's Black Bolt?
He's not here, Eric. Alright, you're Cap, though.
It's pretty cool.
I'm Iron Man flying around. So, my first thought was, I think this is the Marvel movie that I walked out of impacted the most. And I felt like when I left this movie, I thought to myself, that was such a comic book movie. Like, I was surprised at how much it felt like a comic book. Because you got moments where, like, Iron Man and Doctor Strange meet, they're fighting alongside each other for the first time, and then it cuts to Spider-Man. And then suddenly you're like, oh, hey, Spider-Man's on the way. And then he shows up. Like, it felt like super fluid. Every character that showed up, when they showed up, it felt like it was supposed to happen. Like, it didn't feel forced or overly, what's the Deus Ex Machina?
Yeah.
and I thought that was great. Characters. Who was there anybody that we particularly liked or particularly did not like without encroaching into spoilers? Just
that's hard.
It is.
Love Thanos.
Thanos was fantastic.
I've got some minor nitpicks here, and we'll get into that, I guess, more in the spoiler section.
Right.
But as a whole, no. I mean, I really wanted this to be a Thanos-centered movie, and it really was.
It was. It felt like they said that like going into this, we knew Thanos had the most screen time, with Thor being second, and they utilized his screen time well. I feel like he had a very good command over every single scene. I felt intimidated by him, whereas in other movies, in other Marvel movies, the villain's just kind of like, oh, here comes the bad guy, let's watch him get defeated. But with Thanos, it was like you felt hopeless for the characters in a lot of ways.
Right. That is my biggest critique of most Marvel movies. They're not really known for the strength of their villains.
Yep.
I was one of the few who wasn't a huge fan of Avengers 1 on account of Loki kind of feeling lame, honestly, just non-threatening. But Thanos changed everything there. They delivered with him.
They absolutely did. So, dialogue. I know we mentioned, Eric and I, when going into this movie, we said, he asked me, okay, give me 3 things that will make this movie for you and 3 things that could break this movie for you. And one of my 3 things that would make it or break it was the dialogue. Like, I wanted the characters to have dialogue that didn't feel overly, oh, hello, Doctor Strange, I'm Spider-Man. Hello, Spider-Man, I'm Doctor Strange. That kind of stuff. Hey, Kaylin, we're talking Avengers Infinity War. We're doing no spoilers right now. No spoilers right now. No spoilers. We will do spoilers later, though. But I will give ample warning when that does happen. Right now, we're just kind of talking our overall impressions of the movie, because we just got back from watching it. But, dialogue. How was dialogue? How'd they do?
Oh gosh,
I'm still trying to remember how to play this game.
No,
I can web shoot somehow. There it is. Got it. Got my web shoot.
No, it like a lot with this movie. I guess one of the big fears for everybody going into it is that with such a huge cast, a lot of it would feel forced and jarring. And there were some moments where I felt like that. I did feel like some of the cuts maybe were a little too quick. That being said, in regard to the dialogue, no, that felt absolutely fluid.
It did.
All the characters spoke in monologues and with each other as I thought they would, in a natural kind of way. And it was refreshing.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I agree. I feel like the characters themselves, people praise Joss Whedon a lot because of his ability to handle a large cast of characters that have their own defined personalities and stories. Mm-hmm. And they would use Avengers 1 as kind of the gold standard. I don't really want to give him that credit anymore after watching this movie, because I feel like the Russos did it better than he did.
I would agree with that.
I don't think it's really even that much of a contest. Because Avengers was good. Avengers was not... It wasn't the best, but it was the first of its kind in a lot of ways.
Unprecedented.
Yes. How do we use those? Oh, I see. Got it. Okay, that can heal. But, with this movie, you had pretty much everybody. Like we just mentioned a minute ago, that Wong from Doctor Strange even had his moments. Oh, we're about to do a fusion attack.
I press buttons, right?
Yeah, you press buttons.
Alright.
Okay, hold down L. Oh, we did it! Press X repeatedly. was kind of cool. But the characters all had their moments. Didn't feel forced.
No.
I liked pretty much everybody by the end of the movie. What else? Any other overall thoughts?
I didn't want to hit on the emotion.
Yes.
Obviously, we'll hit on this a lot more in the spoiler section. It gave me a lot of highs and a lot of lows in the best possible way. Some of it didn't sell for me quite as much as I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Thanos in particular.
Okay.
Really like the direction they took him.
It was the easiest way to translate him to big screen.
Agreed.
A lot of his actual motivation. Any henchmen, Kaylin asks. So by that, are you asking like any large mindless army of drones or any people other than Thanos that they had to deal with? Because there were both, but I think both were handled pretty well. Because there was a mindless army like the one you've seen in the trailers, but
I was intimidated by them.
I was
They
too.
were intense.
They didn't feel like the Chitauri or the Sovereign in Guardians 2.
Or his endless Ultron bots.
Or the endless Ultron
just kind
bots.
of fodder. I mean, these guys were actually intimidating. They clearly gave our heroes a lot of trouble, you know?
And we didn't spend too much time with them.
No.
They were not the end game, and I think that's the best part about them.
Why does stairs stop my shield?
But as far as villains other than Thanos, you had the Black Order. There were 4 of them, and I thought they were handled extremely well.
Yes.
I feel like there could have been more done with them, but we didn't come to this movie to see a Black Order movie. We came to see Thanos.
Right.
And they played the part that they needed to play perfectly, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought they were on screen, for like the exact right amount of time.
Yep.
They were very intimidating. They did what they needed to do, but they didn't overstay their welcome.
Right.
Thanos, as you said, was supposed to be the focus of this movie. And that delivered.
Absolutely. And that brings up another point. The pacing of this movie was brilliant.
It was. I will kind of throw back a little bit. It did feel a little jarring at some points.
It did.
Some of the transitions. And that's a nitpick, definitely.
Yeah. Because without saying anything spoilery just yet, again, I will clarify when that's going to happen. But Tapback's a lot. Oh wait. Oh, never mind. It's Iron Man. Right. But without being spoilery, what was I saying? Pacing. The story follows. We thought it was 3 teams. It was 4.
It was.
But it follows basically 4 side stories. And so it jumps a lot from story to story. Yeah, and sometimes it can be jarring to where it's like, oh, we're here now. But, and again, this kind of was my impression after watching it. It felt very comic booky.
Explain that.
By that I mean like scenes would go from one thought to the next, and it felt almost like the turn of a page. To where like say like if you were reading that arc in a comic book. Thank you for your contribution to that fight, by the way.
Working hard here, man.
I know you are. Yeah.
Let's check it out.
But like we're okay, yeah, fusion attacks, got it. We're following what's going on in Wakanda, and tension's rising, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen next? And then the next thing you know, like it's like a new establishing shot. And I know that's kind of like movie making 101.
Yeah.
But the way it happened in here was like you never felt like you didn't know where you were or what was going on.
That's true. So the movie changes settings a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Back and forth between places that you've already visited and then a bunch of new places. But I thought they did a pretty good job keeping you informed about where you were without shoving it in your face too much.
Yeah, I think so too. Is it trying to tell us to use fusion attack?
I don't know.
Maybe we go into this giant door. Okay, so pacing, good.
The characterization was good. Dialogue was good.
Dialogue was good. Characterization. Overall story.
Oh, that's hard. Pre-spoilers.
It is.
I mean, it's for the most part. I don't think they did anything too crazy off the walls. Insofar as the larger plot's concerned. But I'm satisfied with it. It was executed really well. I think that was the most important thing.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the story?
I think the story, again, hard to do without spoilers.
Yeah.
But I think the story was handled as well as it could have been, considering. We'll talk about the Soul Stone, but as far as story, the Soul Stone was probably my main concern. But we'll talk about that in spoilers. Kaylin asks, is there death? Was there a Stan Lee cameo? There was a Stan Lee cameo. They got it out pretty early in this movie. And it was pretty great. It felt... It was one of the more self-aware kind of Stan Lee cameos. Like the one in Avengers 1 where he turns around on the news broadcast and says, a world of superheroes, it'll never happen. It felt like one of those. And I liked it. And I think them getting it out so early, it never would have fit anywhere else.
No, it needed to be done exactly when it was done.
Right.
There were already so many characters on screen. That was the only possible time.
I agree. And so that was handled extremely well. Is there death? Eric, how do we answer that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there death?
There's death.
Look, as far as movies are concerned, I'm something of a sadist. I want there to be consequences.
Yep.
I want to be impacted when I've left a film. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There are definitely consequences.
And see, I'm one of those people that really likes it, like in movies where there is a lot of death on the main character side, because it's like that makes the sacrifice that much more impactful and everything. Rogue One.
That's one of the big reasons why it was so good.
I think so.
Because you knew the characters were in a dire situation.
Yep.
And
you had just enough attachment.
Right.
Where it hurt.
But stakes felt real.
They did. I can say regarding is there death? Again, we're you can heal yourself by pressing L2 and your button. Oh wait, I already forgot how to heal.
Yep.
We did a cool thing though.
We did.
R1 circle, because that's your character. R1 plus circle.
I'm hitting.
There you go.
Hey, look, check that out. All right.
I had it open. That was my bad. We're about to kill him. All right. Is there death? Yes. You will be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
You will be surprised with how the death is how death is handled. I had a lot to say about this movie. Would you agree to that before we saw this movie?
Yes. I mean, everybody was.
Yeah. I did not see a lot of the deaths coming the way they did.
No. No, me either.
Yeah. So it's a ride, absolutely. What else before we go into spoiler territory?
I can't think of anything non-spoiler.
Look at those 2009 graphics.
It's not a movie?
It's not. It's a video game from...
Hey, but I can't tell.
Okay. All right. So, we're going to get into spoiler discussion right now.
Right.
Kaylin says, Vision is powered by a stone. You know he dead. We'll get to that. We're going to start with smaller things and go more into the bigger things.
Okay.
So character deaths, we'll do that more later. Right now, I want to talk more about, I guess, more specific things that happened in the movie.
Sure.
Stan Lee cameo.
Spoilers.
Yes, spoilers. Big spoilers.
Stan Lee cameo.
When Thanos' ship, one of his ships, I guess it's Ebony Maw's ship, shows up in New York. Peter sees it, and he's like, he nudges Ned and he says, "Oh shoot, Ned, I need a distraction," and Ned just goes immediately, "Oh shit, we're all gonna die." And gets all the students to pay attention. It was great. Like literally, Ned's one moment in this entire movie.
It was great.
It was great.
It was great.
But then Stan Lee is the bus driver, and he goes, "What's the racket back there? Haven't any of you seen a spaceship before?" or something like that. And it was perfect. So the way the film begins, none of us were shocked. I don't think.
No.
It begins with, if you're just tuning in, we're doing spoiler discussion for Avengers Infinity War. We just got back from watching it. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I will answer. If you have any questions before we continue with spoilers, let me know, and I will halt, and I will answer any non-spoiler related questions so you can get them in while we're talking. But it begins how we thought it would begin, which it basically picks up right where Ragnarok left off. But we don't get to see the battle. The ship
is good.
It is
that,
good.
That was a good decision.
It was. It didn't need to happen.
Because we already knew the outcome of the battle.
We did. And we did get to see, like, really honestly, the only part of the battle that anyone cared about was seeing Hulk go throw down with Thanos and see what the outcome of that was.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That was...
And
yes,
we got to see that. We got to see Hulk and Thanos go toe-to-toe. Thanos with only one stone, but still, he didn't even use it.
He didn't use the stone.
He beat the tar out of Hulk.
And it wasn't just it. It wasn't that he was outright physically more powerful than Hulk. He was just better.
He was just better.
And you saw that, and you felt out. Hulk has always been like the powerhouse.
He's been
Loki at one point. Everybody's down and defeated, and Loki's about to do his trick play, and he he does a repeat of Tony Stark's line from the first Avengers, and we have a Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk comes flying in, and you remember Hulk's always been the powerhouse, kind of the trump card for the Avengers.
He's been the bottom line when it comes to who would win the fight.
Right. And Thanos just manhandles him.
He absolutely manhandles
him. Quick work too. It was not a prolonged fight.
Yeah, and it was punchy too. Like the sounds, like you probably.
Oh, it was the crunch.
Yeah, the crunch
just snapped his.
You probably heard me cringe. Like every time I was like, ooh, the whole time. Yeah. Kaylin's got a couple questions real quick, so I'm gonna get those. Why is Black Widow blonde? It's assumed that it's because she went undercover after the Sokovia Accords. She was a what's the word I'm looking for?
I have no idea.
Person running from the law.
Fugitive.
That's the word. She was a fugitive, and so it's assumed that if there's a story reason, it's because she was looking for a new identity. Mm-hmm. It's never brought up. I don't think it needed to be brought up. There was just the right amount of Black Widow in this movie, I think. I was not annoyed by her at all.
No, she had her moment.
She had her moment, and it was earned.
Yeah, nothing she did felt unrealistic.
Yeah, Eric and I joked. We said if Black Widow gets to touch Thanos, like if she plays a part in any part of Thanos' demise or anything, 0 out of 10.
Right.
And they understood that Black Widow doesn't hold a candle to him. She was not part of that. Well, we'll get to that. Next question: any return villains? Yeah, there was a return villain that no one saw coming.
Oh,
we'll mention that. I freaked out.
Honestly, I thought he was dead. I had no clue who he was until you told me.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't dead, but I didn't expect them to bring him back. Kaylin, if you want us to tell you who it was, we will. We'll get to your other question here in a sec, and we'll get back to that. Hydra B story still a thing? Question mark. Not in this movie.
Hydra what?
Hydra, like the Hydra being present and the fight against Hydra going on. It wasn't there.
Are they not dead? I thought that was over.
Yeah, they're still around. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Cool. So Kaylin, you do want us to answer that question? Or who the returning villain was? But yeah, Hydra wasn't a thing, and I don't think they needed to be a thing. Because very much the thing in this movie was, how in like Civil War, for example, they're dealing with crossbones before they get into the meat, like the meat and potatoes of everything. In this movie, it was Thanos is coming. That's what we need to worry about.
Any other significant villain would have made the film way too crowded.
It would have. There was no B story in this movie.
No.
And that's how it needed to be. Everyone's attention was where it needed to be. And it didn't need the B story because, again, there were 4 different paths that we were following. But to answer the question about returning villains, Red Skull is back.
Yeah, how?
So what? In Captain America: The First Avenger, Red Skull touches the Tesseract, and people notice this, and I noticed this too, but I didn't think they'd actually dare to bring him back. He didn't die. He was materialized into space. So he was sent by the Space Stone, which does,
Oh, shit! I can blow that up.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Good lord.
I was just like... I'm sorry. Okay.
Red Skull is back. Turns out he did not die in Captain America: The First Avenger, as people assumed that he did. He was sent to a planet, which the name escapes me, but the planet is the location of the Soul Stone. And I don't know how I felt about that. I honestly don't, because the Soul Stone had nothing to do with anything prior.
No, nothing.
In the universe. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess I wasn't as disappointed by it because I didn't have as much writing on its location. I know you put a lot of thought into possible locations of the Soul Stone and everything.
Right.
But I mean, it didn't feel super shoehorned or anything.
Right.
It felt plausible enough. Of course, we come to find out, of course, spoilers, that some time ago, Thanos had sent Gamora in search of the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And of course, she found out the location, but chose not to reveal it to Thanos. Thanos gets a hold of her. They go track down the missile. I say missile. The stone.
We're looking at missiles.
Yes. Okay. So.
You got R2. By the way, you can use abilities with R2 combined with it, like use shield slash.
Can I get the missiles with those?
Maybe.
All right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Kaylin, to answer your question, I don't think Hugo Weaving played Red Skull in this.
Did he not?
I don't think he did, because he said that he didn't want to return, and it was in such a minor way. Like, it was a cameo that felt like oh shoot, that was a purposeful cameo. I don't think it was Hugo Weaving, Agent Smith / Elrond. But you couldn't really tell. Whoever played Red Skull did a good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. You say that, I don't. It felt really jarring for me. That Red Skull was there. Again, I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
It felt really out of place that a Nazi villain from the 40s came out and was part of this big galactic conflict, even in a minor way.
Yeah.
But
how do we?
Not really a huge deal.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you any meaningful contributions, Stephen. I'm just kind of following you.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where we're supposed to go. So my thing there is like, well, for one, how did he not age?
Maybe something to do with the. I mean, maybe he did age, and he's just so red that we don't know. I mean, I don't know. His face is seared off. Are you expecting him to get wrinkles or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
but it didn't bother me. It was jarring, but it was. Loki met. I assume you mean Thanos. Yeah, we're getting to that, Galen, or that hooded Chitauri guy. Chitauri guy.
Which one? Which one was hooded?
Maybe Corvus Glaive.
Which one's that?
That's the guy that tried to extract the stone from Vision.
Oh dang! Invisible. Was he invisible? He kept showing up places.
Yeah.
Or was he just really sneaky? Or
he was probably just really sneaky. Like
okay.
There's more. Oh shoot! All right. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about Loki meeting Thanos since Kaylin asked.
Yeah. Let's. Oh.
There's a spoiler here, but I don't think anyone's gonna be surprised by it.
All spoilers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the hooded Chitauri guy, that's the speaker. Ronan killed him in Guardians of the Galaxy. If you remember, the guy that. To court the Avengers, to court Earth means to court death. That
guy.
Yeah.
What?
He's been dead since Guardians of the Galaxy 1. But Loki meeting Thanos did happen, and of course, Thanos hadn't forgotten. Oh, come down here. That Loki effed up. I don't.
That's all we're supposed to do. Or pull it from this end.
Maybe try pulling. Oh wait, I got it. I activated the thing.
Sorry.
So the movie literally begins with the Asgardian ship sending out a distress signal, and everyone on board that can fight is dead. We never see Valkyrie, Korg, or Meek.
Oh yeah, where? Are they dead? No, they're not getting off screen, right?
They're not going to get off screen.
So are we just to assume that they got knocked out, or
we are to assume that they either escaped or they died. And if they got off screen, we'll get to that more. There were deaths in this movie. There were a lot of deaths that will be retconned. Almost certainly.
Do you want to?
We'll get there.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Loki.
So Loki is told, basically how I mentioned earlier, that we thought Loki was going to bargain the space stone for Thor's life. Then Thanos was going to be like, oh, hey, thanks, and then kill him.
That more or less.
That's.
Loki does his whole, Thanos asks for the stone. Loki refuses it first. Thanos starts torturing Thor. And Loki does his whole, trickery. Like, okay, he offers his loyalty to Thanos.
Yeah. Just to try to stab him in the neck.
Tries to stab him, which was cool. Mm-hmm. That was great. Not a huge Loki fan, by the way, but that was really good.
Yeah. Loki dies. He basically gets neck snapped.
How do we
choked out? R1.
Whoops.
But Loki dies within the first 5 minutes of the movie, just about.
Yeah. And it was brutal. Oh,
it was.
Gosh, that was just absolutely brutal.
That first 10 minutes or so is like, it really sets you up for the movie you're in for. No one's safe.
No, it was. I mean, Thanos is just this brutal moment. Thanos lifts up Loki by his throat, and he just squeezes, and you hear bones cracking, and you see
like blood coming out of his face.
Blood coming out of his face. His eyes go like blood red, and it's. I mean, honestly, it was a lot darker than I thought they were going to go in the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be a quick like either like Power Stone vaporizer.
Yeah. That would keep it. I mean, quote unquote, more kid friendly, I guess. Yeah. But no, they went
This
all
is
out
a dark movie, guys. Like, holy crap!
And it needed to be. I just was afraid they weren't going to.
And that's kind of the theme here, Caitlin. I see you. Let me get to you in a sec. This movie is everything it needed to be.
Agreed.
That sums up the movie. Like, if you want a non-spoiler review, there's your non-spoiler review. This movie is everything that it needed to be. But we're going to continue to go with spoilers. Why does he need the stones for his gauntlet? Kalen wants to know. He's not a hoarder like the Collector. He wants the stones so that he can balance the universe. Because you find out that Thanos has this obsession with bringing balance. We just need to keep going. You can't. Oh, hey, good job.
Dude.
Oh, hey, that's an objective. Look at that, silly old me. But Thanos sees the universe as being basically overcrowded, and he wants to equalize it a bit. And while we're talking about that, I think probably the most beautifully done scene in the movie, the one that at least stuck out the most to me, is when you see Thanos and Gamora meet, and he talks about balance with the knife, and you see in the background of the shot, the people of her planet have been balanced from right to left, and as he's teaching her how to balance the knife, you see the left get shot down like a firing squad, and the right state gets to live. It was the epitome of a show not tell moment. Like, that tells us this is Thanos' ideology.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So I'm a big fan of the original storyline.
Yes, the movie is, I think, 2 hours, 17 minutes. Sunny Sun, thank you for tuning in. Taking any questions in the chat right now, if you guys have any of them. We're talking spoilers right now. We're going to get gradually into bigger spoilers as we go, but right now we're just kind of talking about specific things that happen. Hi, Linda Smith. Thanks for tuning in. What were you saying, Eric?
So in the comics, Thanos' big objective, of course, is to wipe out half of life in the universe as a present to a big minor god, I guess is the easiest way to explain it if you're not familiar, called Mistress Death, and he's all about trying to please her. They completely scrapped that for this film.
People thought that Hela was going to be the surrogate for Death, but I think like the movie felt like an isolated story. Like, you didn't need to understand everything going in. And I think that if they had included Mistress Death, that would have been too much.
I absolutely agree. Did not want her as a replacement. That being said, I loved the motivation they gave him for trying to go after the Infinity Stones in this film. As Stephen kind of mentioned earlier, his whole thing, his home planet, overpopulation was a big problem. He offered a solution to his people, which was to kill half the population to make room for the rest. They ignored him, and his planet died. A long story short. So his whole thing is he's trying to protect the universe in a way by killing off half of all life. I guess I'm sure you've heard it said, no one is the villain of their own story. And I really felt that from Thanos.
Yes.
He wasn't a villain for the sake of being a villain. And it felt like it was done right. You know?
Like, it wasn't any of that, like, Malekith from Thor the Dark World, where he was just evil for being evil.
It's just...
Like, he had motivation, and he had, like, ideology that he stood by. He was charismatic.
Oh, he's incredibly charismatic.
I love that.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, so still taking questions. We're gonna keep going. So Heimdall gets killed, just
like immediately,
stabbed in the heart. Yeah, and it was my theory that Heimdall had the Soul Stone, I still think that was the original plan.
My condolences.
I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew deep down. Kalen asks, is Thanos dead?
Dead. Ooh.
Thanos, not even close.
He is the opposite of dead. He is God, basically.
Pretty much. We'll get to that. Sonny asks, your favorite character in this movie?
Ooh. Well, I'll take that. So my favorite, I don't know if you can tell, I'm wearing a Captain America t-shirt.
Yeah.
A little bit biased. He's of course my favorite. So I'm not going to take the question as that. I'm going to say like favorite for the sake of the film.
For this film, yes. Yes.
Ooh, that's hard.
Oh, we can change characters now. Nice.
I might say Gamora.
Really?
Honestly, I need to think about that. But that's my knee-jerk reaction. I'm not a massive Gamora fan or anything like that.
Ooh, yes, Daredevil.
Hey.
Yes.
So, yeah, am I allowed to change?
Yeah. Who do you want? There's Black Panther. He's got a sword.
Oh, what? Okay, well, keep going. Let me see who else there is.
Okay. Keep talking.
I don't know. Juggernaut. What? I can be Juggernaut.
You want to be Juggernaut?
I'm gonna be Juggernaut,
Okay.
dude. Come on.
You can pick
he's
two.
a hero.
Yeah. Well,
Sort of.
this is based on Civil War, so a lot of heroes and villains are.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. Black Panther.
Okay, Gamora.
Okay, we'll go with this team.
So you knew that she was going to play some kind of a role, just on account of her relationship with Thanos. You know, by nature of being his favorite daughter. I wasn't expecting that to play such a huge role in the film.
Yeah. And that I feel like, that is where the Soul Stone story comes in.
Yes. So you want to explain kind of what happens there a little bit?
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll answer favorite character to me in this movie.
Sure.
Honestly, I'm torn because I love Star-Lord. Wearing a Star-Lord shirt right now, and Star-Lord had a lot of really good moments, but at the same time, I think he and Gamora had the most heart in this movie, probably so.
Agreed.
And I loved that, but Star-Lord.
Am I swimming? I'm sorry. Am I? When I jump?
Kind of. But I loved Star-Lord in this movie. I thought he was great, and I loved that. One of my things that I don't like about Star-Lord in the MCU is that they focus too much on him being a goofball and him being fun, and not as much on him being, a great leader. And in this movie, you actually see Star-Lord do a lot of really cool things. He takes down Iron Man and Spider-Man temporarily, but he still does it.
But he does,
and he does it with grace. Like he's very deliberate with the things that he does. Like, it's the first time. I don't want to say first time, but he felt like a superhero. Like, he didn't just feel like a guy getting by the skin of his teeth.
No.
And I love that. That was awesome. But Doctor Strange, man.
Oh,
Doctor freaking Strange.
Okay. Well, So, huge Doctor Strange fan. The original film, I'll admit, I tend to be overtly critical of movies, especially movies that I want to like. So it's going to be hard for me to like the Doctor Strange film. One of my bigger critiques of that film was that at no point did Doctor Strange feel like the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right. And to be fair, that movie wasn't supposed to give you that feeling.
Fair.
And in this movie, that's what I said to Eric. That was one of my make moments.
Yeah.
Where I was like, Doctor Strange will make or break this movie because I want to see Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. And we did. There's
this beautiful moment. So one of the teams goes in, they're fighting against Thanos, and they fail, more or less, right? Like, the original plan fails. And so you just have this one-on-one, Doctor Strange versus Thanos with several of the stones.
Yes.
It delivered. It wasn't just him swinging around some laser discs or anything like that. It was actually mystical.
There were spells. He used some dark magic. He used like illusions. He used the tendrils. I forget. What those were called, but like I watched this and I was like, holy crap, it's Doctor Strange.
Right.
And that's like, aside from the first time I felt that really, where it was like, oh shoot, this is Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange, was his scene in Thor Ragnarok. But this was like where I want Doctor Strange to be from now on. Like,
yes,
it was everything I wanted.
He, with the wave of his hands, attacks becoming a cloud of butterflies.
Yes.
But redirecting attacks and massive illusions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, spoiler, he loses to Thanos, as he should. Thanos has all the stones.
Right.
For a good bit of them. But it was incredible.
It was.
I mean, Doctor Strange in the comics is supposed to be this ridiculously overpowered individual, and you felt that.
Yep. And so I'm probably going to say, just because this felt like the first Doctor Strange movie in a lot of ways.
Really?
Well, I mean, and I say that because, like, Doctor Strange, I don't say it felt like that movie.
Okay.
It felt like the true first outing of Doctor Strange as a full-fledged sorcerer. We got to see him fight with his magic. He felt like a commanding authority. He felt like Doctor Strange is supposed to feel. And that was the character that I think the movie hinged the most on for me, as far as individual characters are concerned, and it delivered. So I'm going to say that my favorite character in the movie was Doctor Strange.
Oh, man.
I loved Star-Lord, though. Loved him. There's more about Star-Lord, though, that we're going to have to talk about. Caitlin has a couple questions. X-Men hints? No, too early for that. It's an isolated story. They have a story to tell that is Thanos. It's the payoff that's been 10 years in the making. X-Men will have their day after Thanos is done.
Right. But that's not the time to be.
And I'm right there with you. I want the X-Men like ASAP, but I just don't think we're going to get them till long after this. But also Wasp, no Wasp. And a lot of people are probably going to take a good bit of issue with this. Absolutely zero Hawkeye and Ant-Man. One mention through the entire movie.
Yeah, but I'm okay with it.
I was okay with it too. And that's speaking as someone who's a huge Hawkeye fan. But my thinking, and this will make more sense once we've talked about the conclusion, Hawkeye and Ant-Man are going to be huge players, as well as the Wasp, are going to be huge players in Avengers 4.
Yeah.
And they aren't going to debut the Wasp outside of her. So her movie Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's going to be a lot about her.
Agreed.
Kaylin asks, and I don't think Kaylin understands who they're asking this to. Better than The Last Jedi or Age of Ultron? No contest.
Okay, so Stephen and I, admittedly, we both despise The Last Jedi.
Hate it.
But that's maybe a conversation for another day.
It is. Ask me sometime, we'll talk about it.
Ultron, it is better.
Bad.
I went back and actually rewatched it recently. It was
better
not great, a lot better than I remembered it being.
Right.
So that's kind of a disclaimer there. That being said, no holds barred. Yes, just
absolutely.
Yes.
But I feel like looking at the way Age of Ultron was, without Age of Ultron, we wouldn't have this movie. And I mean that in more than just the sense of numerical order. Age of Ultron set up so much of the blocks that needed to be placed the way they did for this movie to happen the way it did.
Explain some of that.
The rift between Tony and Steve kind of started in that movie.
Yes.
The line, like Tony trying to defend the world, and Steve disagreeing, and Tony even says, what's going to happen when a big alien knocks at our door?
Right.
And then
this was the
yes.
threat. Okay.
And Cap says, we'll face it together.
Right.
And then Tony says, we'll lose. And Cap says, we'll lose together too. And without saying anything specific, they didn't lose together. They were separate.
Ooh.
Because Tony and Cap do not have a single scene together in this entire movie.
No, they don't.
They
You're
don't.
Right.
Not a single scene. And so Age of Ultron being what it was made that rift, brought us straight into Civil War, so that we could have those moments like that where the reason we lost was because we were combating ourselves in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like Tony's hubris. He didn't want to call Steve at the beginning.
No, he didn't.
And that's probably a lot of the reason why things went the way they did. So I like Age of Ultron more after seeing this movie, because people said Age of Ultron suffered so much from being just a stay tuned for the next Avengers, kind of like a building block for the next movie.
Yeah.
But I see how necessary it was now.
Can I break this?
I don't know. Any other? Okay. Yes, better than both of them. So where do we go? Yeah.
I'm just a big dude with a helmet.
After trying to, we're gonna try to hit as much as we can. I don't think that's the right way. So Eric, there's the door right there. End credits. End credits was a Captain Marvel tease. That's it.
Ooh, let's come.
We'll come back.
I think for both of us, that'll probably come under the "What are you not so stoked about?" section.
It will, and we can explain.
There are legitimate reasons.
There are. So, standout action sequences. For me, that Doctor Strange scene where he went toe-to-toe with Thanos by himself, he lost, but damn, did he do... Like, Thanos was throwing so much at him, had every stone but two.
Right.
And Strange was calm and collected, as Doctor Strange would be.
As he should be.
Countering everything. Holding his own until he eventually was dead end.
But one complaint. One big complaint there is that he never used the time stone in the fight.
Yeah.
And that felt kind of convoluted.
I think there may have been a reason for that, though.
Why?
So part of this movie, because Thanos even brings attention to it. He says, without even using your greatest weapon.
Right. And so why though?
Doctor Strange said he saw every possible conclusion, and
So
in all but one of them,
the...
he even said to Iron Man, "We're in the end game."
Right.
I think Doctor Strange knows what's going to happen, and I think the reason he was so calm about everything is because he knew it was the only way. He even said, "This is the only way." Yeah. So we saw him not using the stone because he was going along with it.
Okay. If that is the reason, and it's stated to be the reason, then I'm on board.
Yes.
If they don't explicitly state or give us that as being the reason why he doesn't use the stone, I'll be fairly disappointed.
Yeah. Even if not, though, like, as far as an action sequence goes, I personally, like, story aside, prefer that he didn't use the time stone.
Really?
Because he used it as a crutch in most other scenes with Strange. Like, the scene with Dormammu at the end of Doctor Strange, and, like, the scene where he's rewinding everything, we hadn't really seen Strange do much without the stone. And to see that the stone is just a tool of his. It's not him.
Agreed.
And so I'm glad that we got to see that. I hope that there's a story reason. I hope that that is the reason. But Strange seemed a little too okay to not know this is what needs to happen.
Right.
So, standard action sequence. That one was my personal favorite. All of them were great.
All of them were really good. We mentioned briefly the Hulk versus Thanos action scene.
Yeah.
It's hard to say if it's my favorite or not. There were so many good ones, but what struck me so much about that scene was just the uncut brutality there.
Yep.
It was meaty. You felt the smacks when Thanos puts the beat down on the Hulk again. I know we mentioned you hear bone break. It felt like Thanos snapped Hulk's collarbone at one point with a punch.
It felt like two huge dudes trying to kill each other with their fists.
Yes.
It was awesome. And I don't think we mentioned this yet. That's the last we see of Hulk.
It is.
Yeah.
So from this, and it's not explicitly stated, I think we're supposed to understand. After this happens at the beginning of the movie, There are several times when Bruce Banner gets into trouble, or his friends are in trouble, and they're all begging, Hulk, we need you to come out. And Bruce is trying to force Hulk to come out. And no matter what, he just keeps staying inside of Bruce's body.
Keeps saying no.
And I'd be willing to bet that's because he's terrified of Thanos.
Yeah, I think it is. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, we needed, again, my major complaint with most Marvel films is that the villains don't feel intimidating. They solved that within the first 3 minutes of the film.
Yep.
This one.
Absolutely.
Thanos is every bit as intimidating as he needs to be.
Yep. So, yeah, state action sequences were done with that. Other things that happened. The encounter between Doctor Strange and Iron Man, they had a good rapport in this movie. They were
yes. I think they did I kind of expected them to be a little. I don't know what the word is. Obviously, Strange is magic. My bad. Strange is magic, and Tony's all science. I expected them to play off that a bit more.
Yeah.
They didn't, and I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get there and then move past that into the rest of the film. Yes. We didn't have time for that to be the focal point of the conversation.
Right.
But do you agree?
I do. And again, this movie understood pacing and necessity really well. It did not waste time. It did. It did a little bit, but
Right.
whenever it was wasting your time, it was wasting your time in a funny way. Like Drax, his invisible thing was freaking hilarious.
Okay, so let's talk about comedy. That's a great segue. Let's talk about comedy.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
So I said this to a friend of ours that we went to see it with.
Missiles.
Here, let me try to trigger all of them. Oh God. Before watching Thor Ragnarok, I would not have said that comedy works as much as it did in Ragnarok on such serious source material.
Yeah.
With so many people dying. This movie handled it.
It did.
There were a lot of really funny laughs. They usually used the Guardians for that.
Yes.
And that's
as they should.
As they should. They're a funny group. Again, they made Star-Lord a little bit too much of a goofball for my taste, but I'm a comic Star-Lord fan. As much as I love Chris Pratt, he's one of my favorite actors. I prefer the comic book Star-Lord.
Do you? I don't know anything about him.
He's much more commanding. He's still very much like he's still kind of goofy. He cracks jokes a lot, but he's brilliant. Like he's a tactician.
Okay.
We don't really get that kind of Star-Lord here. He's goofy. He has good plans. In fact, the plan they do concoct a plan that basically works. We'll get to that later, though. And Star-Lord was the one that came up with the plan, and I loved that. That was great. I was hoping that that's what it would be.
Yeah.
But most formidable aggressor, Thanos aside, Kaylin asks.
Ooh, easy.
Who's that?
The mind dude, the
Ebony Maw.
He was incredible.
He was
super. I mean, I guess telekinesis is kind of his big thing.
Yeah.
And it was everything you want it to be. I mean, you think, okay, how can we take a guy that makes stuff float and make him really strong?
Yeah.
And they did it. I mean, you see him picking up rubble and in an instant shearing off excess. Are we doing something?
Yeah, we got it. That's what we're missing. Got it. Keep talking.
All right. And transforming it into these stone spears to throw at the heroes.
Yeah.
He makes short work of everybody. They beat him, of course, but it's through trickery, which I wasn't expecting necessarily.
Yeah, he goes out like a punk, but
it was so.
I loved it.
It was fantastic. So do you want to kind of explain what happens there?
Yeah. So he was interrogating Doctor Strange, trying to get him to agree to let go of the Time Stone
on a spaceship.
Because the Time Stone was under a spell that makes it to where Doctor Strange has to basically give it up. And he was being interrogated, and Iron Man shows up, and he's about to fight Ebony Maw, and Ebony Maw is like, talking himself up and everything. He's like, oh, we're about to do this again. And then Tony says something along the lines of, actually, this was the kid's idea, referring to Spider-Man, saying that he's seen more movies. And he had previously mentioned, hey, you know that movie Alien? And so Tony has a little shoulder rocket launcher and he shoots it towards the wall. It busts open a hole in the ship and Ebony Maw just goes, and he's gone.
I love that. It felt, and let's say a quote-unquote smaller Marvel movie, right? Or smaller movie, period. That's not what would have happened.
No, it would have been.
They would have tried that, and he would have saved himself somehow for a bigger, more climactic finish. But they just didn't have time for it.
And again, that goes back to the tone of the movie that they set in the Asgardian ship. No one is safe.
No one is
good or bad.
And plot, of course, when you're dealing with a villain that has the ultimate powers of the universe at his disposal, is plot armor. It's unavoidable. You just have to accept it for this kind of a movie. But as far as that goes, they did a really good job.
I agree.
Making it feel like there were real stakes for both heroes and villains.
Yes. Still taking questions in the chat. Where were we? The stuff on New York was great. Doctor Strange meeting Iron Man was great. I absolutely loved the intro to the Guardians in this movie. Because it just says space and it's playing like an old-timey song. Yes. And it just cuts to them on the ship and all of them kind of like reacting to the song. And it was like, I don't even need the first movies to understand.
No.
Even though...
To understand their characters.
To understand them. To understand them as a group. And this movie did such a good job of not only being for those of us that put in the work. Like, of course, those of us that put in the work are getting
rewarded for it.
You are. Like the Red Skull thing. There were people in there who were probably head-scratching, like, who's that?
Right.
And we were over there. We were in the back, like, what the hell? Miles, like, slapped me on the knee. He was 2 seats over, and he was like, what the shit? Like, he was freaking out.
This is a weird moment.
Yes.
It was later. Yeah.
But the movie handles the Guardians so well. One of my break things, Eric and I, if you're just tuning in, Eric asked me before we watched the movie, what are three things that could ruin the movie, and what are 3 things that will make the movie even better for you? One of my 3 things that would ruin the movie is if the Guardians were just kind of there. They were central. The movie could not have happened without them.
I don't know if I want to call them more central than anybody else, but definitely, yes. Again, Gamora, huge role. She was instrumental to getting the Soul Stone, of course.
Right.
The tension that was there.
Yes.
They definitely had their time to shine.
So, Kaylin asks, does that dream sequence from Age of Ultron that Tony has happen where the Avengers are piled up in a heap, dying in space? No.
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Something worse happens. Kind of.
Oh my god.
Kind of, yeah. But
are we going there?
We'll get there. Kind of trying to save the end because like it's the big thing.
Right. Right.
But yeah, Guardians were great. They had good chemistry with Thor. I didn't like how. Again, I'm going to be nitpicky towards Star-Lord because I know the most about him as a comic book character.
Of course.
I didn't like the way he interacted with Thor.
No?
And I thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny, but it was like, again, I don't want to see a character like him get thrown under the bus so much because he is supposed to be the leader of the Guardians. And then when Rocket says stuff like, "Oh yeah, I'm the captain," and we're not given a reason to think, "Oh yeah, Peter's the captain," that's an insult to his character. You know?
Yeah. I hear you. I think we could have had it both ways. So keep that scene with Thor. You know when so Peter Quill is obviously you've got Thor this strapping god, right? This an Adonis, right? And of course Peter Quill he's getting jealous because Gamora is there and he's afraid that Gamora is going to go after Thor. And I thought they played that really well. That being said, when they were going after Thanos at the Collector's hideout,
Yeah.
And he's making these hand signals, SWAT style, trying to sneak up on Thanos and direct his partners.
Yeah.
They ignore him. Maybe if that hadn't been the case, if they had actually followed him there, would
that would have been better. Even when I saw that moment, I was like, "Oh, cool! He's actually telling them what to do," and they ignored him. And I was just like, "That's in poor taste."
Yeah.
I get it's for a cheap laugh, but like, Star-Lord is the leader for a reason. We've been told that, and they even say like in the end of Guardians 1, "We'll follow you anywhere, Star-Lord."
Right.
And in Guardians 2, he felt like a father figure to Groot. He felt like a brother character to Rocket, but like an older brother. Like, there were those relationships that made you think, yeah, Star-Lord's in charge.
Right.
And I didn't get that in this movie. And I understand it's a small price. Like, these are small gripes. It's just, he's my favorite comic book. Well, he's my favorite Marvel character.
If you're tuning in just now, as a knee-jerk initial reaction, Stephen and I both love the film.
Absolutely.
A lot of our complaints, unless otherwise specified, are going to be admittedly nitpicky.
Absolutely.
That's because we like the film so much.
Yeah.
And we have to find little things to...
Yeah, I'm saying that they made Star-Lord a bit too goofy and oafish and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, we do see him as a badass. I said earlier...
When he takes down Iron Man and
Spider-Man, yeah.
I was not expecting that at all.
Neither was I. And when I saw that, I even said to you, I was like, holy shit, Eric, Star-Lord just took out Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Yes.
I love that.
So he definitely had his moments as well.
He did. And there were those moments that were great, but again, I want to see Star-Lord the leader more. Because that's one of his best qualities in the comics. Like, one of my favorite comic book panels is towards the end of the run of the 2008 Guardians, which is my favorite. That's the original Star-Lord, Rocket, Drax, Gamora, all of them. That's my favorite version of Star-Lord. Mm-hmm. There's a panel of Rocket and Star-Lord doing a strategy meeting, talking like who gets what team. They're going to go on 2 separate teams. That's what I want to see more of. Like, because in the movies, Rocket and Star-Lord have this respectful hate relationship, like they're family. In the comics, it was like all respect, and they were like war buddies.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I want more of that. But again, nitpicky. Better than Winter Soldier or Civil War?
Knee-jerk reaction. I need time to stew on something before I make a definitive statement.
So that's the tricky thing, because when it comes to what it needed to be, this movie, and I thought about it more on the drive here, Eric.
Yeah.
This movie was the best regarding wish fulfillment.
Yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
Because like I said, it was everything it needed to be. We saw basically everything we wanted to see. So the reason we think it's so good, maybe as a film, narratively, script-wise, cinematography, maybe it's not as good as Winter Soldier, because Winter Soldier's a hard one to beat. But as far as like walking away, man, it's got more staying power than Winter Soldier because of certain moments.
Yeah, and with those moments, I will say.
Hey Darian, thanks for tuning in. We're talking Avengers Infinity War. We are talking spoilers right now. We are taking questions in the chat. Let us know if you have any, and we will answer them.
This film definitely had me on my feet, so to speak, more often than Winter Soldier did.
Yes.
Does that make it a better movie? I don't know.
That's the question, yeah. There's no real way of saying. It's like, what are you looking for?
They're so different. I think Civil War is a better comparison than Winter Soldier.
And
or a better movie to compare it to.
This movie was better than Civil War. I like, when you're comparing it as I enjoyed Civil War a lot.
Yeah.
This movie felt more cohesive than Civil War did, though. Because Civil War did feel like it had certain moments that did just kind of work out, and if you thought a lot about it, you were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But the fact that you had to, kind of think about it as much, kind of took away from the structure of the flow of the narrative.
I guess
but I loved Civil War.
What makes me slow to agree with you is that I thought that some of the emotional payoff in Civil War was maybe better. And let me explain. I guess we're getting like one of my nitpicks for the film.
forgot how much I love this game.
Is it? I press X a lot. Am I doing that right?
And you can hold down R2 and use these buttons.
Use my ability. Oh, I do have more than 2?
You got right now. You probably only have 2, but you can get 4. Like you got X and circle right now.
Okay. Cool. So
yeah.
emotional moments. Let me preface this. The Civil War, admittedly, is my favorite comic book storyline of all time. So I'm definitely biased there. I love the dynamic between Captain America and Iron Man, and kind of the emotion of these two guys who don't always see eye to eye, but they love each other and they're brothers, and the differences eventually tear them apart. In Infinity War, you've got this really cool dynamic between Gamora and Thanos, where, of course, Gamora hates Thanos, but there's a moment where, Thanos tricks her using the reality stone, I guess, into thinking that she successfully kills him, and Gamora starts weeping. She's heartbroken. She knows she did the right thing, but she's torn apart by killing the man that's been her father figure, for better or worse, right? Jumping past that, there's a moment where Thanos, because of comic book stuff, has to sacrifice, or has to make the decision to sacrifice the one thing he loves in order to get a hold of the Soul Stone. Of course, Gamora's laughing at him. She thinks that he has nothing that he loves, and some tears start coming from Thanos' eyes, and you realize, oh shit, he loves Gamora, and he sacrifices her. And I thought that was going to be a fantastic moment, and to an extent it still was. They didn't sell me on it quite as much as I wanted them to.
And to clarify, Gamora's dead. She's dead.
So, and not in stone voodoo magic. Like, brutally, he drops her from super high up in the air, and her broken body's on the ground.
And you can see green blood coming out.
Yeah,
she's dead.
This is okay. Quick side note: we kind of mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
This movie was way more graphic than I was expecting it to be for a Marvel movie. In a good way. It needed to be a dark film. It was. Oh, are we playing a game?
We are.
How do I heal again? R3?
R1.
And then X.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm a pro. We got this.
Keep talking.
Gamora, graphic, brutal.
Yes.
And not just for the sake of being brutal. It was brutal in a way that enhanced the storytelling. Mm-hmm. Exactly what it needed to be. So anyway, Gamora, at the end of the film, kind of skipping ahead, past the climax, kind of the very final scene. Of course, spoilers. Thanos is largely successful with his task, and you have this moment. Thanos mentions after he kills Gamora, and he's heartbroken about it. He says that he's heartbroken about it, but the time to mourn is later.
Yeah.
And that was appropriate for Thanos. He's got the ability to kind of suppress his emotions. But after the battle's done, everything's finished, Thanos is by himself. I was expecting and hoping for us to see some real visceral heartbreak there, and there wasn't. He looked satisfied with the job he had done.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to start, regretting what he did necessarily.
There it was.
Oh, hey, there we go. Cool. You're welcome, by the way.
Thanks, man.
But I wanted to see some more emotion. I was pleasantly surprised by how much he loved Gamora.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to do more with that. They didn't.
Right. Okay, a few more questions. Drax or Hulk stood a chance against Thanos? No. But I will say, Drax got some punches in.
And it didn't feel contrived.
It didn't. And my biggest problem with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was probably how much of a doofus they made Drax.
Yeah.
Drax in the comics, not metaphorically, literally punched Thanos in the back and ripped his heart out. That's the Drax that I wanted to see. His purpose in the comics was to kill Thanos. And I'm not a comics Nazi. Most of my Marvel stuff comes from the MCU. But I wanted that Drax moment, not exactly that Drax moment, but I wanted the Drax that could throw down with Thanos, get some punches in, stand his own in a fight.
Right.
One-on-one, Drax didn't stand a chance, as it should.
Not even. Right.
But Hulk fought him one-on-one. Got his butt handed to him.
And with on-screen time, it took, what, maybe 40 seconds?
Maybe 40 seconds.
No, seriously, like, not an exaggeration.
No, it's
actually
literal.
40 seconds.
Yeah.
And I wasn't left dissatisfied with it. This is the third time we've talked about this fight.
Yep.
In this review. I hope that says something about how much we love it.
And that's like right out the gate. That happens in the first 5 minutes.
So when eventually all this comes on YouTube, right, different movie clips and everything, of course I'm going to go back and rewatch every fight because the action in this film was fantastic. The first one I'm going to go watch is Hulk versus Thanos.
Absolutely. Aunt May or Pepper Potts get killed? We don't know. We don't know. We'll clarify more on that here in a minute.
That's kind of like the last.
That's the last point that we're going to talk about because it's a huge one. If you're just tuning in, we're taking questions in the chat. We just saw Avengers: Infinity War, talking our impressions. Spoilers right now, so be mindful of that. But if you have any questions, spoilery or not, we will answer them. So the Guardians were great. I liked the way Rocket was handled. I thought he was underutilized a little bit, but I just love Rocket Raccoon. I wish there was more of him, but there was as much as, well, I say underutilized. I think they did the right thing.
Well, the thing is, with such a huge cast, they couldn't let everybody have, you know, a long time period, a long chunk of time on screen.
Right.
And he was around a lot.
He was.
And he did some very useful stuff.
Yeah. I guess my thing is, like, I love the MCU Rocket Raccoon.
Okay.
I think he's fantastic. And my favorite Rocket moment is, of course, when they break out of the kiln. When he comes up with that harebrained scheme.
Oh my god.
And it's like, oh my gosh, this is Tony Stark levels of brilliance. I want more of that, and in this movie, he just kind of felt like a Thor sidekick. I didn't get any of those moments of, hey, this raccoon is an epic genius. And again, nitpicking.
Right.
I still liked him in this movie, and I thought he was used well. I wanted more.
Right.
But we will probably see him in Avengers 4.
Yes,
we'll talk about that.
He's there.
Look, Wakanda lends aid to all the bystanders, Kalen says. If you're asking, Wakanda, yeah.
Oh, well, I do want to talk about Wakanda.
Do it.
So obviously we saw Black Panther.
Yes.
I thought like Wakanda as a whole, as a people, as a government and their military.
Yeah.
It was cool. I wasn't sold on it. I thought the climactic battle, where you've got these two armies squaring off.
More like a LARPing session.
I never thought about it that way.
But did you see it?
I mean, but it's supposed to be this huge climactic battle. You've got maybe 50 people on screen.
Right.
And it doesn't help that the battle takes place on this open plain. That we're trying to emphasize how few people there are. It wasn't impressive.
Right.
In this film, you've got the big final battle, right? Wakandan forces plus heroes against Thanos' invading army, and it was impressive. Of course, they've got the African tribal chants going on. T'Challa is leading it, and he's yes. Yeah, it was
the scene. I got like huge Helm's Deep vibes, and that the T'Challa and Steve were Gimli and Aragorn, because like everyone's charging towards the battle, and you see Steve and T'Challa just going, and they're way ahead.
Well, almost to a lesser degree. Return of the King, when they're charging the Black Gate. You've got Aragorn running out in front of everybody, and then you've got the two hobbits, and the Fellowship is kind of leading the charge, and they're way ahead of the rest of the army, right?
Yes.
That's what this felt like.
And it wasn't them running into a battle where they would, just stop and fight a few guys. They dove.
They were
charging.
Here's motion in this movie. Movements had momentum. Oh my gosh. Like you felt it was just so yes.
Kalen says, LARP, yes. As an onlooker, it looks childish and cringe, but as a participant, epic. I believe that. I secretly think LARPing would be a blast.
Look, yeah, maybe I could see that. I did. I know it's not the same as LARPing. I did just start my first ever
Spider-Man's up there.
D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Earlier this week. I guess that probably doesn't count, but
It's a step.
it's a stepping stone, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Moving forward.
Yeah.
So Wakanda. This is what I wanted the Wakandan military to be.
Yeah.
They put more bodies on screen, whether real or CGI. I don't really care, honestly. They looked good.
Right.
You know, the coordination was there. The gorilla dude,
M'Baku.
Oh, M'Baku. So he's my favorite side character from Black Panther.
Yeah, same.
I love gorillas. M'Baku was he's this big. He's got his big, quarterstaff club looking thing. He's doing his chants.
Yes.
He's intimidating. He's a powerhouse, and he's just cool.
And he lived.
Yeah, I was not expecting that
lived.
at all. I thought he was for sure he was dead.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that in a second. But I will say, something that just dawned on me. This movie, one of the reasons why I love it so much, is because it was so many movies crammed into one. You had. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't like Black Panther that much. I thought it was average. This movie was a better Black Panther movie than Black Panther in a lot of ways. Regarding Wakanda and the action in Wakanda itself, because the fight scenes in Black Panther didn't like them for the most part.
For the most, with some exceptions, the waterfall fight at the beginning was 10 out of 10 great.
Yes,
but with that, with Wakandan society as a whole, it felt like it was lacking.
It did. Right? It did. But this movie, it's an Avengers movie, but it's a good Guardians movie too.
Right,
and it's a good Doctor Strange movie.
I do want to hang on. Let's talk about Black Panther specifically.
Yes.
He didn't play nearly as big of a role as I thought he would in this film, and maybe so. Obviously, this film was largely done before Black Panther came out, right? More or less. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Had there been, let's say, a year and a half between this film and Black Panther, I suspect that there would have been a whole lot more Black Panther. Obviously, the character and the movie itself was such a wild success. That being said, I mean, he played a relatively minor role in this film.
Yeah.
Like Rocket Raccoon played a bigger role than he did.
He did. And again, maybe this is just, me being more of a cosmic than I am.
Sure.
I loved that the Guardians were an absolute necessity.
Right.
That's how I wanted it. That's how I think it should be. But continuing, what else in the minor spoilery territory? Spider-Man's Iron Spider suit, amazing.
It was. Okay, talking about that, I didn't like the Spider-Man suit in Homecoming. I wanted the focus to be. It was too much. The focus was on. For me, I don't want to. When I went to see Homecoming, I didn't want to watch an Iron Man movie. I wanted to watch a Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
I didn't want the focus on the suit. The focus was always supposed to be on Peter and his powers. That being said, it was great for this film. I mean, to do a whole lot realistically against enemies way above anything he'd ever had to fight before. Spider-Man needed an upgrade, and they didn't do some training sequence with the suit. I mean, they briefly mentioned that the functions of the suit are really intuitive, so he just kind of knows how to use it, and it's believable. It was great. Really, really cool. The big spider legs that come out.
So we mentioned earlier that brain telekinesis dude.
Ebony Maw.
That guy. So we mentioned earlier that they kill him. They're on a spaceship, and Iron Man shoots a hole into the hull of the ship, right? And Ebony Maw goes flying out, and Spider-Man jumps in to save Doctor Strange, who's unconscious as he's getting sucked out, right? And as Spider-Man is getting sucked through the hole, these legs pop out from his back and kind of latch onto the sides and keep him in. Beautifully executed.
Loved it.
It wasn't cheesy. We didn't see ridiculously shaped webs or anything like that from the suit, which I know that's true to the comics. That doesn't necessarily make it cool,
The suit was great.
Loved it.
A lot of stuff in this film that would have taken on a much bigger role in a film that would focus on as one or two characters. They did a really good job just kind of playing off of briefly and then moving on to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time thinking of other specific cases like that, but can you think of anything, Stephen? Where they acknowledged something, but they made it only last a couple minutes and they moved on to the next piece?
The Iron Spider suit's probably the best case of that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, like, War Machine, maybe?
Yeah.
War Machine his suit was
Okay,
awesome.
so my vision of the Iron Man, Tony Stark's suit is this brawler, more like laser beam.
Press touchpad.
Oh, am I doing something?
Okay, this is going to make it to where while you're talking, you're paying attention. The computer's controlling, so you can talk.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
So with that, Iron Man, Tony Stark, his suit's about laser beams and that kind of stuff with
Yes.
some, kinetic weapons and ballistic weapons, just kind of they're thrown in there, right?
Yeah.
War Machine, my vision has always been just a raw, like American,
Ballistics.
blow them up, like
Yes.
big explosions, massive machine guns,
Yeah.
and they delivered. This is the first time we really see him go all out.
Yeah, because my worry in Iron Man 3, he becomes Iron Patriot, and he gets like a laser cannon on his shoulder, and it was like, come on. In this movie,
that's Tony Stark's thing.
That's Tony Stark's thing. In this movie, War Machine, he and Sam during the Battle of Wakanda, Falcon, they're the air support, and they act like the air support.
Yes,
they talk.
They talk. They're going. You see this. Of course, there's this shield around Wakanda. We know that from the Black Panther movie.
Yes.
In order to keep the fight concentrated on the army and not, getting civilians in harm's way or letting them get division, which we can talk about later, they open up a small hole in the shield so that the enemy army is tempted to come rushing through, and of course that's what they do.
So they have a bomb.
And so there's just this target-rich environment, right? And you see this moment where, like a fighter jet,
Yes.
War Machine comes swooping in, and he just carpet bombs.
He does a freaking carpet bomb.
And it's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not a War Machine guy. That was fantastic. That was so. It was reminiscent of when the movie that started it all, right? The Iron Man, when they're showcasing the Jericho missiles.
Yep.
That's what it felt like.
Yep.
Just grounded, modern weaponry, doing really cool stuff.
Yeah. And there was another scene, or another shot, I guess I should say, of help me fight, because
am I not playing?
You are playing.
Oh, my bad.
But
who am I?
You're Daredevil. We need to revive everybody else. But there's a shot of War Machine up in the air, laying down, covering fire. He's got so many machine guns, so many missiles.
Oh my god!
Like he's a flying tank, basically. Like, and I love it. I'm gonna revive. I revived Juggernaut for you. So use D-pad to reselect it.
Yeah.
Okay. But that was great. And War Machine survived.
Yeah. I mean, I think if anyone was going to die when Thanos does his big thing, that we'll mention here in a bit.
Yes.
I thought for sure it was going to be War Machine, because he's a super side character. In some ways, he feels kind of repetitive since he's, just a different version of Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
So insofar as his combat capabilities are concerned.
Yes.
But yeah, no, he lived, and after that action scene, I'm okay with that.
I'm all about it. Yeah. I do want to keep going with that kind of point. Kaylin has a couple more questions. By balance, do you mean offing half the population? Did people die outside the Avengers and Guardians, like civilians? Half of the the universe.
The universe.
The universe.
So are we entering this? Or are we talking?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Because that's gonna start everything. That's gonna basically take over the entire conversation.
It is.
So we will get to that, Kaylin. We will get to that point because that's like a huge deal.
in what happens within the movie. Rumors of the Defenders in this film? No, sadly no.
I'm okay with that.
I am too.
like the Defenders, but their whole thing is being more grounded, I guess.
I think like I said earlier, this movie is a celebration of where we've been headed, and I think there's a place for the Defenders in the future of where the MCU will go.
Potentially.
But this is a culmination of what we've been building towards, and I don't think the TV universe is ready to coincide with that.
Right.
So no Defenders.
The film was so crowded anyway.
It was. Like the Defenders, because you didn't really have to worry about character introductions in this movie, because it was like characters had to meet each other, but we didn't have to meet the characters. And so when there finally is a film crossover where like Daredevil appears in a movie, which fingers crossed, hope it happens. I freaking love Charlie Cox's Daredevil in the Netflix show. But in this movie, they didn't have to hold our hands.
No.
But they did a good job of being accessible, which was really impressive.
Yeah.
So, no Defenders. So, let's do it.
Yeah, the honors are yours.
Okay. So, basically, the final act, if you will, sees Thor is creating a new weapon called Stormbreaker alongside Groot and Rocket. It's like a new Mjolnir, but it's an axe, and it's super powerful, and it can tap into the Bifrost, so he can teleport across the galaxy.
Which is necessary.
It is. While Thor's doing that, Wakanda is bracing for attack because the Black Order, specifically Proxima Midnight, Black Dwarf, and Corvus Glaive, the Black Order being Thanos' children, they are coming to get the Mind Stone from Vision. At this point, Thanos has gotten the Reality Stone from the Collector. We're to assume that the Collector's dead, I think.
He's
probably dead. He got the Reality Stone from the Collector. He got the Space Stone from Loki. And he got the Power Stone from Xandar, and Xandar's gone. We didn't even get to see it.
Yeah, well, Thanos not gone. From everything we're led to believe, Thanos never actually destroys a planet. He just culls half the population.
Yes. But Xandar is wrecked.
It's effectively, it's out of commission.
Yes. Which I can understand why it was cut, because by the time we meet Thanos in this movie, he already has the Power Stone.
Right. And again, it was so crowded.
It was.
I'm okay with them off screen.
Yeah, it didn't really suffer without it. Although I will say, I hope that this means that Nova could come soon, because he's...
Nova or Warlock?
Nova. Nova is a really cool character that was a pivotal part in the formation of the Guardians.
Okay.
Think of him as like Marvel's version of Green Lantern, but with a very different power set. Oh hey, it's Captain Marvel. Speaking of Captain Marvel. Oh, it's Shocker. How did he beat Captain Marvel? I really like the costume designs in this game. Like Iron Fist's costume in this game is my favorite Iron Fist costume.
Yeah.
And like even Shocker, Electro, they don't look silly. They don't look like they're wearing pajamas. But anyway, so oh god, it's gonna be like this, isn't it?
I need a breather.
I'm getting wrecked.
Me too.
So there we go. Cable is the answer to everything. The Guardians being... Okay, Wakanda's bracing for attack. On Wakanda, you've got Steve Rogers, not Captain America. I think he's Nomad at this point in time.
Yeah.
No shield. We don't even see Captain America's shield in this movie. There's... I'm just going to call him Captain America. It's easier. Steve. Steve is there along with Black Widow, Falcon, Vision, Scarlet Witch, War Machine, Black Panther, Okoye Mbaku, the cast of Black Panther. And I think that's it, right? Oh, and Bruce Banner.
Yes.
Bruce Banner is who tells. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, hold down R1. And press square. Actually, oh, shoot. Hold down L2. Okay. Aim me towards Shocker.
Did I put you the right way?
No.
Oh, my B.
That's fine. Okay, I think we did it. So, Wakanda is bracing for assault because they want the Mind Stone, and Wakanda is trying to get the Mind Stone out of Vision so that they can destroy it, without killing Vision, which wasn't a huge fan of the Vision Scarlet Witch stuff.
No?
I thought it was alright, but I thought it also was fairly contrived when you got the fate of the universe and they're trying this hard to save Vision. I know Vision's like a member of the team and everything, but it's like, at that point, there's a moment where you should just be like...
I mean, I feel like it was less of a...
If you have to press X.
Oh.
You're doing this dialogue.
Here.
Okay.
I feel like it was less of a save Vision thing and more of a just their principles, you know?
Fair enough, yeah.
And I hope that kind of makes sense. I mean, the moment, like Steve Rogers, his whole MO is not leaving people behind.
Yeah.
You know?
And they do a good job of not making it feel forced.
Right.
But anyway, they're trying to do that. Meanwhile, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange meet with Star-Lord, Drax, Mantis, and I think that's all.
Yeah.
On Titan to they are there to basically fight Thanos, but oh shoot, I'm about to die. I'm dead. It's just you.
You check me out. Watch me go.
But so they're on Titan and they're preparing to fight Thanos. They come up with a plan, Star-Lord's plan, mind you, that is to prevent him from closing his hand, so that he can't use the gauntlet.
Right.
Which is, I like the way they did that.
Sure.
Thank you for the question, Kaylin. It's hinted at that, honestly, the Bruce Banner Black Widow romance.
Non-existent. They say they do.
They have
one quick moment when they first meet back up in the film.
Yeah, they have.
They say each other's names.
That's it.
Falcon's like, oh, this is awkward, and that's all there is to it.
And that's it, and that's as it should.
As it should be. That did not need to be.
The trailers hinted it more. There was a lot more prep in Wakanda in the trailers. Like there was Bruce working on the Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, in this, Bruce switch to somebody else. Okay. Cool. In this, Bruce can't get the Hulk back because the Hulk is afraid of Thanos, so he has to pilot a Hulkbuster suit. So Star-Lord concocts a plan that basically is to lure Thanos into conversation with Doctor Strange, which, by the way, loved the Doctor Strange Thanos banters.
Yes.
They were great. I like that the way Thanos seemed to respect everybody.
Yes.
Because, like, he respected Doctor Strange, even though he was like, oh, you've got tricks and everything. But he was like, he knew he was formidable.
Yes.
And I love that. I love a villain that knows that he's not...
He's not underestimating his opponents.
Yes.
On top of that, you very much got the feeling that Thanos wasn't necessarily happy about what he was doing.
Right.
It was a means to an end.
Burdened with glorious purpose.
Yes, that's definitely the way to describe it.
So, Star-Lord concocts this plan that's basically everyone try to stun him enough to where they can get the gauntlet off of him. And it starts to work.
It would have worked.
It would have worked. They were getting the gauntlet off of him, where Mantis landed on him and started to put him to sleep, like basically stun him.
Mantis is arguably the most powerful one, right? If she can make contact.
If she can make contact, yeah, she can basically shut a person down. And I am so glad that they used her in this fight, because that was Mantis's big moment. Was that she actually almost saved the day.
Almost.
But Star-Lord shows up, and Star-Lord it's personal with him, because he and Gamora, forgot to mention this, they're a thing. They're officially a thing now. We see it. It's confirmed. She tells him she loves him. They share a passionate kiss. So Peter is in love with her, and he is driven by the sole purpose of save Gamora.
Right.
Because not only is she his family, she's so much more than that. Do I have a new ability? Oh, I do. Nice. So Star-Lord goes to taunt Thanos. Oh, and Nebula showed up at this point too. Mm-hmm. And Star-Lord's like, "That was my plan, by the way," and just kind of having that bravado that he normally does.
Right.
And then Mantis is like, "Wait, he's mourning," because Mantis can feel emotions, and that's when Star-Lord realizes Gamora's dead. And then Thanos says, "I didn't want to do it." Mantis, did you see Guardians of the Galaxy 2? She's the girl in the green outfit that has the antenna that can feel people's emotions. She was kind of important in this movie. She was a side character that did big things. Mm-hmm. But Thanos didn't want to do it, and Star-Lord loses it. He starts to bash Thanos in the face with his gun, and in doing that, hits Mantis. Mantis loses her control. Thanos gets his control back, gets the gauntlet. Everything's fucked, basically.
Yeah.
And here's a moment that I did take issue with. One of the biggest problems I had with The Last Jedi was that it worked on its own rules. Things happened because the plot needed them to happen.
Right.
That moment felt a little bit like that. Mm-hmm. Just because we've seen what Star-Lord does.
Right.
Ego says, "I didn't want to." That's why I hated to put that tumor in your mother's head. Star-Lord pulls his pistols and just goes.
Good.
Like, if he's gonna lose it, we've seen how he loses it. So why did he have to actually bash this time? And so again, it brings issue with Star-Lord. Like, oh, everything's Star-Lord's fault. That big dumb oaf. And of course, I take personal issue with that, because Eric even turned to me and said, "Your boy fucked up," which he did. I gotcha. Yeah, she's kind of forgettable, but she's important in this movie. Mantis. But so Thanos gets the gauntlet back, which at this point still has the 4 stones, and this is when the Doctor Strange fight happens. It's awesome. And basically the fight results in Thanos going one-on-one with Iron Man.
Yeah, that was such a good fight.
It was a good fight. It was really good. Iron Man has his bleeding edge armor in this movie. That is his coolest armor.
He kept like planting himself in the ground and different. Oh my god!
Yeah, it was like a all-purpose armor that was operated off of nanite technology, so he was able to repair his armor as he fought, which is awesome.
Right.
But Thanos beats him, and Thanos stabs him, and the theater thought, "Oh my god, we're about to see Iron Man die." That's what they thought. And I was sitting there, and I saw the writing on the wall. I'm not gonna lie, they did so much with saying, "Doctor Strange, I will not hesitate to choose the stone over you." I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Doctor Strange says wait, and says the stone for his life, and trades the time stone to save Tony. Tony lives, Thanos gets the time stone, and leaves. And then Star-Lord flies in, takes a few shots before Thanos teleports out, and Star-Lord just goes, "Did we just lose?" Which is a huge moment, because that's Marvel being self-aware. Hey guys, this isn't your typical Marvel movie.
Right.
Everyone complains that all Marvel movies end the same. Well, buckle up, boys and girls, because I'm about to drop a bomb on you. This takes us to Wakanda. The battle is kind of going in the favor of the heroes on Wakanda.
Yeah. Scarlet Witch comes in and she starts
Yeah.
destroying
Which
everybody.
I loved Scarlet Witch in the movie. I thought she was awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Her powers were a lot more cool, I guess.
Yeah,
Still not understood, but
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know?
So they're fighting. They kill Proxima Midnight. They kill Black Dwarf. They kill Corvus Glaive. Vision kills Corvus Glaive. So all of the Black Order at this point is dead. And then Vision, who kills him, still has the Mind Stone in his head. He starts to feel pain and he goes, he's here. And then all of the heroes unite. And Captain America, or Steve, is like, hey, on me, eyes up, get ready for something big. Sure enough, Thanos shows up with 5 of 6 of the stones. The only one he's missing is in Vision's forehead, so you all know what's going to happen. So he starts to tear through everybody. And Vision basically says to Wanda, this is it, you need to destroy the stone, because we find out Scarlet Witch can destroy the Infinity Stones, which I thought was weird. Mm-hmm. I saw your reaction too. You were just like, really?
Yeah. But go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
So Thanos tears through everybody. We see that moment of Cap grabbing the gauntlet, and Eric, Thanos had 5 of 6 gauntlets when Cap held him back. 5 of 6 stones.
So speaking as a Captain America fanboy.
Yes.
That shouldn't have happened. I mean, I love my boy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but well, even without any stones.
To be fair, he wasn't able to use the stones. I thought because he wasn't closing his hand, he was holding his fingers.
Okay.
Open. That's probably why.
Even without any stones, we just. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, again referencing it, we saw Thanos just body Hulk.
Yep.
Who in turn bodies Captain America. So, I mean, as much as I love my boy,
I don't think it was misplaced.
No.
Just because it took both hands, it took everything he had
to just slow him down.
Slow him down a little bit. And we got to see Thanos. Well, the part that I love is that Thanos, literally on the cusp of victory, was like, "What are you like to stand against me?
Right.
To be able to hold me back?" Like he actually looked. I don't know if I'd say concerned.
I want to say concerned, but he was
perplexed. Like,
yes, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and I love that. I thought that was great. Thanos fights his way through. Black Widow does not get anywhere close to him, so we were happy about that.
We were.
Oh shoot! Thanos goes up to Vision, and Scarlet Witch successfully destroys the Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, before he can get to it. And then Thanos comes up and he's like, "I understand. This has been a day of loss," talking about all that stuff. And he's like, "But now's not the time for that."
Right.
And then reverses time with the Time Stone to bring Vision back to life, just to rip the stone out of his head.
Oh.
That was. So
I do want to hit on that real quick.
yes,
Huge theme in this movie was sacrifice.
yes.
On both sides, of course. We mentioned earlier that
You've got a
Thanos
square
is-
ability now, by the way.
I found the one ability I care about, or 2 abilities. I don't know if you've noticed yet.
Yeah, I can tell.
Well, that one and this one right here. I don't take any damage.
Oh, we can block. That would have been good to know.
Does everybody not take damage?
I don't know.
Or is it just unique to Juggernaut?
Probably just need to Juggernaut. Continue.
Okay, sacrifice. So we mentioned earlier that Thanos' big sacrifice, of course, was killing Gamora, who he actually loved, like legitimately. That was a big deal. In the film, we're constantly looking at whether it's
Come on.
look how
Very good.
Doctor Strange being encouraged to sacrifice Tony's life, or Scarlet Witch and sacrificing Vision.
Yes.
I feel like there's another one. Was there anyone else that was encouraged to make the sacrifice?
Star-Lord to kill Gamora. Because
Star-Lord to kill
begged-
Gamora, Loki to kill Thor.
Yeah, Gamora begged Star-Lord to kill him.
Right, and he
kill
was
her.
too slow to do it. Loki was he was going to sacrifice Thor to keep the Tesseract out of Thanos' hands, but he gave in because he isn't a complete douche, I guess.
Complete douche.
But it's one of those things where either the heroes were too slow to make the sacrifice, or
Kaylin asks what will happen in Avengers 4. We're getting there.
yes. So either the heroes were too slow to make the sacrifice, whereas Thanos was committed and he did it.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because every single one of the heroes, either they didn't make the
Yes.
sacrifice, or when they did make the sacrifice, like Star-Lord making the decision to shoot Gamora, or Wanda finally, killing Vision, right? They were slow to do it, which gave Thanos opening.
Yeah, because he didn't hesitate.
Well, he did hesitate. Well,
He didn't
no,
hesitate.
you're right. He didn't hesitate. He immediately came to the realization of what he would have to do.
Yes.
And he was saddened by it.
Yes.
It was like I already know what I'm going to do.
I have no idea where we're supposed to go.
I'm just going to be slow. But I'm a big mindless.
Hit touchpad, just so I can try to do this myself while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah. Golly, I love the theme of sacrifice.
It was very well done.
Oh,
and that's
my
a
God.
good point that I hadn't thought about. That, like, Thanos' ability to sacrifice made him the better man.
Which is why I really wanted there to be a little bit more with him at the end of the film, actually mourning Gamora's death. To me, honestly, that's my biggest disappointment in the whole film, and I guess that's a positive thing. That's me nitpicking, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Regardless, sacrifice, a huge theme.
Yes. So we are now. Thanos gets the Mind Stone, and Thor, who had showed up earlier with Stormbreaker.
big.
Talk about it, Eric. Talk about it, Eric.
Okay, so I don't know. There's a little known game that came out on this day, I think last week actually. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, Kaylin, pay attention.
God of War. With my main boy, my sweetheart over here, Kratos, the God of War. Obviously, in some parts, they took some notes from Marvel's representation of Thor. You see Kratos, who takes his axe and he throws it around in a big mechanic in the games. That whenever he throws the axe, like Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, you're right. He can summon it back to his hand, and it's awesome. Thor, of course, the hammer's busted. In this film, he goes and he forges a new weapon, this Stormbreaker, and it's this huge axe. And
It's an axe hammer hybrid because it's got a hammer back.
Yes,
And
the handle is actually Groot's arm. That in this big dramatic moment he chops off to put on the hammer because of movie reasons we don't need to get into.
Yes.
But
it's great.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
So you've got the big climactic battle happening between the Wakandan forces and Thanos' army. The heroes are starting to lose, and then the Bifrost comes down, and you see the God of Thunder. Like you get this moment, like what they did in Thor Ragnarok, where the thunder's coming from everywhere. Thor comes crashing down, and he just lays waste to everybody with his new weapon. It's like this movie made it. Thor made like this representation of Thor maybe in my top 5 now. Fantastic, but
It was awesome. And Rocket and Groot were with him too, and Rocket actually got some shots in. He actually was in an action scene.
Yes,
and it was great.
God.
So Thor laid waste. Like Thor showing up was like,
oh my god,
like the Riders of Rohan showing up at Pelennor. That's how it felt, because he just kind of showed up and tide immediately turned, and it was awesome.
And that's what you wanted.
Yes,
because Thor is supposed to be this big, huge powerhouse, and it feels like he really comes into his own in this film as kind of being at max power, and being able to control that power, I guess.
So they're fighting, But Thanos gets the Mind Stone.
Thanos gets the Mind Stone.
And then Thor immediately comes to fight him.
So Thanos he completes the gauntlet. I'm gonna
take it.
Thanos completes the gauntlet, and he's won. And you're like, oh man, because all this action happened. It's this really intense moment. A lot of action just happened, and honestly, I forgot about Thor for a little bit because of how intense everything was.
Yeah.
But just as Thanos completes the gauntlet, you see Thor come flying out of nowhere, and he takes Thanos by surprise, and he buries an axe head in Thanos' chest. This is the only time the entire movie where we've seen Thanos take significant damage, ever. Who makes him bleed a little bit
Iron
once?
Man.
Okay, yeah, makes him bleed.
I think.
Yeah, it was Tony.
Help! You're getting hit. Yeah, I can use it. That's fine.
That's the computer taking over, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. And Thor. I mean, again, I was so confused. I mean, when I say the handle was buried in there, I mean like most of it was stuck inside of
like the axe blade was like in there, and he like pushed it even deeper.
Yeah. Oh my! It was. So we talk about the movie being graphic, unexpectedly so for a Marvel film. So the axe head, the blade is in his chest, and Thanos is obviously in a lot of pain. He's pretty well like down and good, right?
Yep.
But then Thor, obviously, he's pissed. He's over the course of over a very short time, he's lost his mother, his father. He just lost his brother. He lost most of his
sister that he never knew.
A sister that he never knew. Thor's experienced shitload of loss.
Yeah.
So he's pissed, and he just presses that axe deeper into Thanos' chest, and it's awesome.
Yes. But then Thanos says Thanos is trying to utter words.
He's damaged.
He's damaged. Like if this was no stones Thanos, he would have died.
He actually Thor would have wrecked it.
And Thanos is trying to get words out, and he just goes, "You should have aimed for the head." And you think that he's weak, and he is weak in this moment, but when he finally gets the words out,
he closes the glove.
Yes. Does it.
Just
he does the snap just like that, and the entire movie we've been told if he gets all the stones with the snap of his finger, he can end life in half of the universe with the snap of a finger, and he does it.
And it's this huge iconic moment in the comics.
It is
right. And tiny little nitpick. I wish they had made it a little bit more dramatic for this, as opposed to just like a quick.
Yeah.
Like, here's my one-liner, good one-liner, but my one-liner is the snap. That being said, that's a nitpick.
Yeah. And so he snaps his finger, and then he goes to a vision of young Gamora, who asks, "Did you do it?" And he says yes, and she asks, "What did it cost?" or something. And he says,
what did it cost?
He says everything,
which is great.
It is,
because again they drive it home over and over again that Gamora is the one thing that he's ever really loved.
Yes. And so
and they create a sympathetic villain to an extent, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it comes back to Thor, his axe still buried in Thanos' chest, and Thor goes, "What did you do?" And then he
creates a portal, and
he falls back into
GTFO, he's out of there.
And the gauntlet though looks fried.
Yeah, which is
weird.
So obviously they nerfed the gauntlet.
They did. My thought is
everybody in the movie got a nerf. Everybody in the MCU has a nerf for the sake of the film.
My thought is Avengers 4 for Kalen. This is for you. Avengers 4 is not going to be with the stones. It's going to be. I think the stones and the gauntlet might be done.
Really?
Because
but it's still going to be Infinity War.
Will it? The Infinity War was lost. So basically, he does the snap. And then, who's the first? Who's the first that we see? Bucky.
It is Bucky. It's so sudden.
It is. So the snap happens, and Thor's like, "What did you do?" Thanos retreats, and then Steve is like, "What happened? Where'd he go?" And you hear Bucky's voice, and Bucky goes, "Steve, what's happening?"
You see him just kind of come out of the brush.
He hobbles up, and from his right arm, he starts to just vanish into dust.
Like disintegrating.
He just disintegrates. He's gone. And then it starts going to so many different characters.
So it becomes like this. Everyone knew that Thanos was going to snap his fingers. Like that's not a surprise to anybody. Everybody knew that the movie was going to, in some way, include Thanos snapping his fingers and wiping out half of all life in the universe.
Right.
That's not really a huge surprise to anybody. That being said, no one knew for sure who was going to be around for the next film. Yeah. So for everybody, it was just waiting. Oh God, who's going to disintegrate next?
The theater's energy, I loved.
Yeah.
Because every single time it showed someone, and you started to see like them disintegrate a little bit, the theater gasped.
Yes.
Because when Bucky,
you didn't know who to expect.
No, you didn't.
Anybody was fair game.
Yeah, and Bucky, when Bucky came out, you could hear the girls in our theater. They're like, no, and they freaked out. And then one by one, people started to go.
Who all? Let's body count.
Body count. Yes. Falcon.
So Falcon, Bucky,
Falcon, Black Panther. T'Challa's gone.
Wow, I did not expect that at all.
Guys, I need to put my controller down. Black Panther is dead. Granted, it's through a means that we probably think he'll come back.
They're gonna. All these people that died in this way, they're gonna come back.
But
they're not gonna leave them dead.
Thanos snapped his finger. Half of the universe gone. Black Panther is among them. Not just Black Panther.
Oh, so
Falcon.
So we've got Falcon,
Bucky,
Black Panther, Wanda.
Wanda.
I think Wanda was going to be gone.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch is dead.
Okay.
Groot.
Oh,
that was hard.
Because you see
Rocket.
This is your boy. You go here.
Okay. Rocket and Groot, and we've all seen, like, Rocket's already lost Groot once. Rocket's standing there watching Groot leaning against a tree, and he just starts to disintegrate, and Rocket's just like, no. And he loses Groot again. And it's just like, damn. Then it goes up to space. And then...
so, Doctor Strange, gone. Which is unexpected. In hindsight, I think that for me, that partially confirmed it. Provides strong evidence for your theory that Doctor Strange foresaw like the full plan to beat Thanos, because if he did see that plan and they kept him around, it would have taken out a lot of the tension.
Yeah.
Right. So Doctor Strange is gone. Red dude. Drax and the Motions Lady.
Dead.
They're dead.
Star-Lord is dead.
Yeah, I did not think they were gonna take Star-Lord. I thought he was for sure safe.
No. And we'll get more into We'll get more into the why here in a sec. But we're just doing the body count, and then
most of all, so
Spider-Man.
easily the most heart-wrenching moment in the film, for me at least, right? So like as the very last person to disintegrate, you think it's done, and then the camera kind of pans over, and you see Spider-Man, and you just realize no, they wouldn't. But they do, and it's incredible because they've been setting up ever since Civil War when Spider-Man's first introduced. Of course, Tony Stark is kind of his character, very much feels responsible for everybody that's around him. Yeah. Of course, that's doubly so for Peter, who not only did Tony bring onto the team, but he's a kid still, right? Tony feels that it's his fault that Peter's in the situation to begin with. And Peter starts to disintegrate.
He says,
and
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
So with that, it's the slowest disintegration that happens, as it should be. It's the most dramatic. At first I expected it to be like a more heroic disintegration, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't. He was a kid. Yeah. He was a kid that I don't know. I'm assuming most of y'all saw Homecoming. There's that scene where the building collapses on top of Peter.
Straight from the comic books. Come on, Spider-Man!
Right, which was a fantastic moment. But you have that moment before then where he's freaking out. He's a kid buried in rubble.
Yes.
He's not a hero. He's just a kid, right? And they did that again.
Mm-hmm.
To beautiful
and what was
effect.
so great about none of these disintegrations that happened, none of them were heroic.
No.
They were just gone. And there was no score playing underneath this. All you heard was the sounds of the world. Because everything had been brought to a silence, and you were just forced to sit there and watch your favorite characters go.
Just.
And it was like it was a stunned silence in our theater, except for when people started to go. Every single reveal, there were gasps.
When Spider-Man went, there was like this, no!
Yeah.
You heard people yell, and it was...
And then it cuts to the survivors on Wakanda, which, again, Black Panther's not among them. Okoye and M'Baku survived. Yeah.
I mean, M'Baku better survive. He's my boy.
Yes.
All right.
But what's... So then, Steve gets up and just goes, like, oh God, like, it's happened. They've lost. And then the credits roll. That's literally how the movie ends.
Yeah.
Is everyone dies. Like, half of the universe dies, and we're left with that.
Which it's how it needed to be.
It is.
And I heard it said beforehand, this is kind of the Empire Strikes Back.
And that's what made me think that was going to happen before you saw it.
Yes.
I wasn't ready for it.
it was. I'm glad it did, because
Yeah.
this is supposed to be arguably the darkest movie in the Marvel franchise, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to feel good coming out of the movie. You want to feel like you've been defeated. They did it.
Yes.
Just beautifully.
Absolutely. So that leads us to, and again, we're still taking questions, but that leads us to what is going to happen in Avengers 4. And we'll try to be kind of quick about this because we've been going for a while and we need to probably call it soon. So if you have any questions, get them in quick. What's going to happen in Avengers 4? Well, the characters that are either newer or have more of a future with the franchise died.
Yes.
Because I think Avengers 4 is going to be the send-off for the ones that did survive, if we're in large part.
The core group, the ones that have been with us for a while, that for the most part, their story arcs are completed.
War Machine survived. Like he was
surprising, but
again, he's kind of a core character.
Right.
So.
But with that, so obviously for the next big line of Marvel movies, we're moving on with a mostly different cast, or our focus is changing for the cast.
Yep.
So that means that it's no coincidence, of course, that the 4 core characters, Bruce, Thor, Tony, and Steve, are all around.
Thor survived as well.
Right. So those are the 4 core guys, right?
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
That's bad.
So with that, in my opinion, we're going to see the core members, plus I guess Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, whoever, right, come in and try and undo what Thanos did. Of course, they're going to be successful. Spoiler alert! It's going to happen, right? But I think after that, we are going to get some actual permanent, long-term deaths.
I agree.
I'm not convinced that Tony's going to die.
Yeah.
I think if anybody's actually going to, because Tony's endgame could reasonably be retirement, and that could be a believable way to get him out of the films for the future, with the exception of a cameo here and there.
Right.
Steve can't retire. It's already been established, as you said earlier today, Stephen, that Steve can't live without a war.
It's the man that needs a war. Yeah.
Right, which is kind of weird for his character, because he's the most morally upright out of any of them, but he's always got to have a mission.
Yep.
We even see he's never really been able to settle in and settle down, post being woken up from the ice. He lost that chance of having a normal life when he went down in his first movie. I mean, Captain America he's the biggest one that's been death flagged, I think, right?
He's gonna die. Unless if they're gonna do a expectation subversion on us.
And maybe. I'll be kind of disappointed if that's the case. Here's my biggest question for you, Stephen.
Yes.
Before he, we assume he dies, but before that, does he get a chance to wield Thor's axe?
I think so. I think there is going to be a moment. They teased it in Age of Ultron. Make it so. Come on. But we have a couple more questions. Go ahead and hit touch.
I see. Okay, so I see one saying, "What is the Avengers 4 movie name?"
We never got it.
Yeah, we have no idea. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, same.
Because honestly, I feel like it might give away a little bit. And right now, I don't want to know anything about Avengers 4. I just want to be rocked by Avengers 3.
So we don't know. I imagine we'll probably know. I don't know. Maybe after Captain Marvel, which brings us to the post-credits scene. It was a Captain Marvel tease. We find out Nick Fury and Maria Hill are both in the kill count as well. They're both dead.
Wasn't expecting that from Nick Fury. I thought he was going to come back, get the boys back together, kind of a thing.
Same.
Pick them up after they've been down in the dump. He already did that though for Ultron, didn't he?
Yeah, but I expected Nick Fury to be part of Avengers 4 since again he wasn't in 3.
Right.
Which brings us to Hawkeye and Ant-Man. Not in this movie.
They're going to go find Captain Marvel.
I think that means that again, characters that didn't get a lot of screen time in this movie are going to be key players in 4.
Kind of going with that, Captain America didn't get a whole lot of screen time.
He didn't get a lot of dialogue either.
Got just as much as him.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like.
So I do think there's going to be more of a focus on him.
Yeah.
Come Avengers 4.
I agree.
Well, let's hit on Captain Marvel real quick. I know neither you nor I are all that stoked.
Yes.
What do you think? Why?
Captain Marvel, I'm afraid, is going to be this Deus Ex Machina, end-all, be-all kind of character where it's like, oh, here comes Captain Marvel. She's going to solve all the problems that we've got. She's overly powerful, ending a fight that isn't her stand.
Right. So if y'all saw Justice League, of course Superman kind of comes in.
Yes.
And once Superman shows up, it's game over, right?
Yeah.
The fight's done. Superman just kind of handles everything from there. I think we're both really scared that is going to be the case with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that she's just going to kind of show up and be like, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm here. New flagship hero for the MCU.
Right.
I don't want that.
Even if that isn't the case, there's no debate, she's going to play a significant role.
Yeah.
In interviews, it's been stated that she's supposed to play kind of the Adam Warlock role that in the MCU that he played in the comic series. Which, if you don't know anything about that, Adam Warlock kind of spearheaded the charge against Thanos in the Infinity War story. That being so, we know that she's going to play a significant role at the very least. I don't think me or Stephen are all that happy about that.
No.
Just because she hasn't been with us. Her movie's coming out, 3 or 4 months ahead of the last Avengers movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
I think it's towards the end of this year.
And I mean,
it's beginning of next year.
Okay, well, it's going to be right before Avengers 4.
Yes.
We haven't, even if the movie's phenomenal, right? Well, I want to hope for the best there. Most Marvel movies are pretty good. We don't have any attachment to this character.
Right.
She hasn't been with us from the beginning. The focus of defeating Thanos needs to be with the original 4.
Kaylin has a question about your D&D stuff that we'll get into.
Oh,
later.
okay.
But Captain Marvel worries me a little bit, but all in all, this movie was fantastic.
Yeah, so maybe moving towards final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
On the movie, of course.
On the movie, yes. I loved it. I think that I need to figure out how to kill this boss.
Oh, I need to...
Yeah, pitch in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We gotta kill the individuals as they come out of the shields, I think.
Alright, I got you covered.
But, yeah, now we gotta fight her. I think, again, the best way to sum up this movie is it was everything it needed to be. Individual character stuff didn't happen as much as I would have liked, but this isn't one of those kinds of movies. Like, when you think of an individual character in this movie, you think Thanos, and that's how it should be.
Right. This was his movie.
This was his movie. And, God, it was great.
He's the one with all the feats and the super crazy impressive moments and the glory.
Yes. What are your thoughts?
Really, really, really good movie. It could have gone so wrong.
Could have.
So overall, I'm very impressed. They did a great job of handling it. A lot of people thought it was going to be impossible for them to realistically handle this big of a cast in a way that made sense.
Knocked out of the park. The same directors that did Winter Soldier, Civil War, they did this movie, and they're doing the next one too. And
it just
zero concerns. Zero concerns for Avengers 4.
That being said,
well,
I am a nitpicker. I'm a nitpicker about things that I care about.
Yes.
The movie wasn't perfect for me. I mentioned some things earlier. Some of the emotional moments didn't quite hit me in the way I wanted them to.
Yeah.
Some of the cuts felt a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
Or jarring, I guess. Maybe one or two minor plot decisions that wasn't completely on board with. That being said, as a whole, the movie was incredible. I'm going to go ahead and, as a knee-jerk reaction, give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm with you. Yeah. I said hastily, best MCU movie. That's a broad stroke. I say that.
It is.
I say that, not saying that it's my favorite. Guardians of the Galaxy is still my favorite, just because Star-Lord, love the Guardians. That movie is so good. Not important. This movie, though, as far as being comic book wish fulfillment, might be the best.
Yeah.
And damn it, that's what I wanted. and it delivered. Kaylin says, sounds like an 8 out of 10 to me, just for the simple fact that they killed off my boy Black Panther and Doc Strange. They'll be back.
There's no. I mean, there's no question after the success of Black Panther that he's going to get his own trilogy.
Here's kind of the question. We can safely assume, I think, that everyone that was snapped out of existence, so the people that died at the end, we can safely assume that they're all coming back.
They're all coming back. There's no question.
But Gamora.
Gamora.
We don't know what's because Gamora was
that Peter doesn't get a happy ending,
which means, and this is what I'm so terrified of. Gamora, her story was basically done.
Yeah.
There's no need for Gamora to come back except for Peter's sake. And so my thought is, Gamora was traditionally killed. Gamora is dead now. And now, what reason does Peter have? What is his arc? Now it's like, find Peter a new arc, or he's expendable.
Yeah.
And that's my boy, is Star-Lord, Peter Quill. And I'm just over here thinking, you guys better justify him real quick.
I mean, I'm okay with that. We need. This film was really dark. Obviously, the last film is going to end on a happier note, as it'll be the final victory. It needs to be victory at a cost.
Yep.
Again, the big theme of this film was sacrifice, victory at a cost, and I don't want them to jump into Avengers 4 and be, we had our big dark movie, now it's time to be happy again.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't want them to forget the lessons they already learned.
And maybe you're touching on something here, the idea of sacrifice, and maybe we're gonna see that the heroes have learned to act on their conventions without apprehension like Thanos did. My theory, and I'm gonna probably make a video on this, so this is like an early access for you guys. In the comic books, and this is kind of like the last thought I'll leave. In the comic books, there's a place called the Cancerverse, which is basically a place where death doesn't exist. It's basically like a dark dimension version of our universe. Like they're like the Revengers there, which are the evil Avengers, stuff like that. In the comic books, Star-Lord and Nova, during the Thanos Imperative, trap Thanos there, and they stay behind to keep him there. And so my thought is, if you're going to kill off Captain America, how awesome would it be if in 4 the resolution was to capture Thanos in the Cancerverse, and Steve stays behind, maybe even saving Tony's life, stays behind, and they get trapped in there, and Thanos, being stuck in a place without death, being stuck beyond the world he tried to create, basically goes up to Steve and says, I'm about to bring down 1,000 years of pain in which you will wish that death will come, but it will not. And then Steve just picks up his shield and just says, I could do this all day. And that's the last we see him.
I love that.
Yes.
It's effectively his death at that point.
Yes. And I called it a Master Chief death.
Yeah.
Because the way in Halo 3 Master Chief went out was he was presumed dead. He froze himself in a chamber saying, wake me when you need me. So it's killing the legend, killing the soldier that couldn't be killed, but he wasn't dead. Like, no one got the right to kill him. And so with Captain America, with every movie in the future, with the next Spider-Man movie, you can watch that movie and think, damn, Captain America is up there fighting Thanos.
Right now.
Right now. And that's his fight. That is his war. Because Steve cannot live without a war, and his war is now saving the entire universe.
Right, and I told you this earlier. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
I don't think that Marvel has I don't think that Marvel as a whole is quite as in love with Steve as I am. And that would be like the most glorious way for Steve to go, right? Yeah. Bar none. But if it does happen, you heard it here first.
I'm just saying. That's why I do this. That's why I did the Heimdall thing. That worked out.
But yeah, man.
Kalen says, what if Thanos was part of the half of the galaxy that disappeared to dust? He wasn't. We see him. He's healing. He's ready to come back. Thanos at the end of the movie.
Yeah. He's fine.
That is a good point though, because Thanos said it was random.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, he's not a part of it. Kalen, Brodie's not a part of the D&D game. Neither am I. Miles is?
Miles is.
He is a halfling rogue, I think.
He's a dick. Is what he is.
So Eric, tell us about your dungeon.
Okay, so this is real quick. This is my first foray into the realm of D&D. Miles is a halfling rogue whose MO is to just be a dick to everybody and steal shit because he can. Which it contrasts pretty heavily with my vengeance paladin, my variant human vengeance paladin, who's largely inspired by Frank Castle, the Punisher, right? With a little bit of Kratos sprinkled on top. So we're constantly butting heads over when it's the right time to steal something or not. I'm sure Miles would love to hit on that next time he's present for one of these streams.
So Kalen, next time, I don't think you've actually met Miles yet, Kalen. He's actually been on a hiatus from video games. If you watched last week's Couch Co-op or earlier's Couch Co-op with Lego Marvel, that's Miles that just kind of shows up. He does stuff with us here on the channel. But you ask him about his D&D sometime. 5th edition?
Yeah. Duh.
Yeah. Are you liking it, Kalen asks?
Yeah, we've only done one session so far.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a little bit slow to start. Kind of sucked at first. The very first fight, my character almost died to some lame blizzard mob thing.
Yeah.
I got bit and
my character got infected with this disease that makes him laugh incessantly. So I had to laugh incessantly. I'm more of a quiet kind of guy. I don't want to talk all the time.
Right.
And so forcing myself to just laugh nonstop for about an hour was not as enjoyable, as I wanted it to be.
Right.
Yes, I'm loving D&D.
Right.
Everything I want it to be.
Yes.
Cool.
I play the Star Wars RPG, and I love it a lot. It's super fun. Caleb says tabletop RPGs have more replay value than video games. Absolutely.
Agreed.
But that's gonna do it for us right here. We talked a lot. Like
way longer than I thought we
insane.
would. But it honestly, we could keep going. I could. There's so much we didn't unpack.
There is absolutely. But I mean, knowing me and Eric, we will be talking about this more.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone watching right now, if you have any questions for me about Infinity War, preferably spoiler free, because people, over this weekend who haven't seen it, like watching me play Detroit Become Human tomorrow, aren't expecting to hear Avengers spoilers. Be considerate.
Yeah, with that, come on, guys.
Thanos demands your silence. And all that. But if you guys have any questions for me about the movie, preferably keep it spoiler free in the chat. Let me know, and I will answer. I love to talk about this movie. I love to talk about Marvel in general. Really enjoy it. It's fun. But before we go, just want to tell you guys about our schedule here. We have a 6-day content schedule. I say we. Eric's not part of the channel. He's a good friend. He's probably going to do something like this with me again, though, because this was fun.
I had fun.
It was good.
Could have had better company, but
well, I suck, so.
But I'd love to be back.
Yeah, we'll do that again. Maybe some couch co-op.
Yeah,
just fit you in where I can. So on Mondays we do a Let's Play series. Right now, Jake and Brodie are in the middle of A Way Out. It's that couch co-op prison escape game that's really cool. Still waiting to play it, but again, Miles is on hiatus, so I've not been able to play it at all. It's really fun. That's 12 p.m. Central on Mondays. Tuesdays, you are right here with me playing XCOM 2, War of the Chosen at 5 p.m. Central. Eric, your character is a god.
Well, you had to try and keep it true to real life,
So those of you that watch XCOM 2 may know Jim Derek Anderson.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. Eric asked, make my guy an old, grizzled man. And so I'm like, I'm going to make you a monk. And he was like, okay. And Derek comes from the fact that people have spent so much of their time saying, damn it, Eric, that they just combined it to Derek. So that's where that comes from. But his character is insane. Like he is the best character in the game. So face to character looks nothing like the old man that you've seen. So
not yet.
Friday and Saturday, Kaylin, I will get to that. I'm getting there, and you should still see it. Trust me. I can tell you all of the things about this movie, Avengers. Kaylin said, now I don't have to see it.
No, go see. Even if you had a full a bullet point list of everything that happens in the movie, it's a visual spectacle.
It's an experience. It's
you need to go see it.
So Tuesdays, XCOM 2 at 5 p.m. Central. Wednesdays, we have Wild Wednesday, which is where we do a different Let's Play every single week at 12 p.m. Central. This week was Far Cry Arcade. A lot of you seem to like that. I'm not sure what we got next week, but we've got one coming, and that's a part of the fun. You don't know what you're going to get. And then on Thursdays, we have a co-op stream. Today was different. We had a lot of Infinity War hype because my whole circle was ready for it, and so we did something like this. Normally, we play a game like this, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where it's everyone on the same screen. Try to play on this couch so that you can see us all interact and stuff like that. And that varies on times. And then Fridays, we have a podcast at 12 p.m. Central. We do have one coming out tomorrow. I'm not in it because I was doing this earlier and I had Avengers.
Right.
But we do have it coming out. Jake's going to be talking. Good night, Kaylin. Thanks for tuning in. Actually, Kaylin, if you stick around, Friday and Saturday schedule, I need to talk about that. Friday podcast, 12 p.m. Central. Watch it. Friday night, I am playing the Detroit Become Human demo. Live, and I want you guys to tune in for that. That's going to be probably closer to 7 or 8 p.m. And then after that, I believe, if nothing else is going on, I think that might be time for me to do Far Cry Arcade. We're doing Far Cry Arcade sometime this weekend. It's either going to be Friday or Saturday, don't know when, Saturday, if we don't do Far Cry Arcade, we do have, I think, in the cards, a Killing Floor 2 stream with Friendly Fire Games like we have been doing. So look forward to that. If you've enjoyed this, if you'd like to see us do more of this, let us know in the comments. Give us a like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And be sure to hit that bell so you are notified whenever we do have more content coming out. Our streams tend to be a little sporadic, so it does help to actually have the bell. That's not me just trying to go you into subscribing and everything. It sounds like it, but it's really not. I'm trying to help you. But yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you guys go see Avengers Infinity War. I hope you enjoy it. We did. And let us know in the comments if you'd like to see more stuff like this. We're probably going to do a movie review or more theories next week. So look forward to that. But anything else you'd like to see, just let us know in the comments. So until next time, you have any final thoughts?
Bye.
Bye is his final thought. Okay. And just like that, I will see you guys tomorrow with Detroit Become Human.